You know that strange moment late at night when everything goes quiet, but your mind doesn't. The world finally slows down. Notifications stop, conversations fade, and yet something inside you stays awake, thinking, replaying, imagining. It's not loud, it's not chaotic, it's just there, like a low hum you can't quite turn off. Most people brush past this feeling. They call it overthinking, restlessness, maybe even anxiety, something to fix, something to quiet down as quickly as possible. But what they don't realize is that this experience isn't random. It isn't a flaw in your wiring. It's a pattern, one that your mind learned for a reason. And once you start to look at it differently, something shifts. Because this isn't just about being awake at night. It's about what would happen if you never slept at all. Not literally, but psychologically. There's more going on here than people realize. Sleep, in the simplest sense, is not just rest for the body. It's a reset for the mind, a boundary, a pause where your brain gets to sort, filter, and process everything you experience during the day. Neuroscience shows that during sleep, especially in deeper stages, your brain, especially in deeper stages, your brain reorganizes emotional experiences. It decides what to keep, what to let go of, and what to soften. It's not just recovery, it's integration. But here's the part that often gets overlooked. Some people don't fully shut down in the way others do. Even when they sleep, a part of their awareness stays active, observing, monitoring, holding on to threads, and over time, this creates a kind of waking mindset, where rest never feels complete. It's like your brain learned that letting go completely isn't entirely safe. Not in an obvious dramatic way, but subtly. Maybe you grew up in an environment where unpredictability was normal, where things could change quickly and being alert helped you stay one step ahead. Or maybe you learned that being thoughtful, aware, and mentally present made you more accepted, more prepared, more in control. So your nervous system adapted. It didn't choose stillness, it chose awareness. And that awareness doesn't always turn off just because the day ends. From a behavioral perspective, this is what happens when the brain starts prioritizing anticipation over rest. It keeps scanning, even in quiet moments, not because something is wrong, but because at some point, staying mentally on served you, and the brain doesn't easily unlearn what once protected you. There's a study often referenced in sleep research that shows how heightened cognitive activity, especially in people who are emotionally attuned or highly reflective, can delay or fragment deep rest. Not because they're doing something wrong, but because their brain remains engaged in meaning-making. In simple terms, your mind is still trying to understand the world, even when the world has gone still, and that can feel exhausting. But it can also feel familiar. Here's where it gets important. This isn't better or worse than being someone who switches off easily. It's not a higher level of awareness, and it's not a deficiency either. It's just a different way of being wired. Some people find safety in letting go, others find safety in staying aware. Neither is more correct. They just come from different experiences, but there is a quiet trade-off that people don't talk about. When your mind doesn't fully rest, you become incredibly perceptive. You notice patterns others miss. You read between lines, you sense emotional undercurrents without needing them to be spoken. You become the kind of person who understands things deeply, sometimes without knowing how. But that same awareness can make it hard to feel fully at ease because the part of you that notices everything doesn't always know when to stop. It keeps going, even in silence, even in stillness, even when there's nothing left to solve. And over time, that can create a feeling that's difficult to explain. Not quite anxiety, not quite exhaustion, just a sense that your mind is always slightly ahead of the moment you're in. Like you're present, but also observing your own presence at the same time. This is what it feels like, in a psychological sense, to never fully sleep. Not physically, but mentally. And once you see it this way, something important becomes clear. You're not broken for feeling this way. Your mind isn't malfunctioning. It's doing exactly what it learned to do. Stay aware, stay prepared, stay connected to everything happening around you and within you. That kind of mind doesn't come from nowhere. It's built over time, through moments where paying attention mattered, through experiences where understanding people or situations gave you stability, through small, repeated signals that told your brain, don't fully switch off, stay with this. And it listened. The problem is, what once helped you navigate the world can quietly become something that makes rest feel unfamiliar, not impossible, just unfamiliar. And here's the paradox. The same mind that keeps you from fully resting is also the mind that gives you depth. It allows you to reflect, to connect, to feel things with a level of nuance that isn't common. It lets you see meaning where others see noise, but it also means you carry more. More thoughts, more interpretations, more awareness, and carrying more naturally makes it harder to put things down. So the goal isn't to fix this part of you. It's not about forcing yourself into a different way of being. It's about understanding what your mind has been trying to do for you all along. Once you understand that, something softens. Because instead of fighting your awareness, you start recognizing it. Instead of judging your restlessness, you see where it came from. And that changes the feeling. Not all at once, but enough. Enough to realize that your experience makes sense, that there's a reason your mind works the way it does, and that this way of being, while sometimes heavy, is not without value. It's just more conscious, more awake, and maybe that's why certain moments stay with you longer, why silence feels full instead of empty, why your mind keeps reaching for understanding even when there's nothing left to figure out, not because you're unable to rest, but because a part of you learned that staying aware was safer than letting go. And that part of you hasn't fully realized yet that it doesn't have to hold everything anymore. If any of this feels familiar, there's more to explore about how your mind learned this pattern and what it's quietly been trying to protect you from. Not to change who you are, but to understand it in a way that finally lets you breathe a little easier.